That's a win. You can't convince me otherwise. I know the Pistons lost to the Hawks and they're now 0-3, but in my eyes, getting minutes into Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Jerami Grant is looking like an emerging star. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I questioned if he could do what he needed to do to be worth the $20 million a year. I knew he was going to come in and shoot the ball. I knew he was going to provide defense. And I knew he was going to be able to get to the rim. But now all of a sudden, he's getting those little pull-up mid-range shots. He's really attacking the rim. And I think as time goes on and as the referees start to look at him the same way they look at Trae Young and give him free throws when he actually gets poleaxed going to the rim, then maybe he's going to start to average 20 points a game. Maybe that's a stretch, but he's getting to the rim and he's hitting his shots from outside, so who's to say he can't average 20 points a game on a team where he's going to get the shots? I don't know what the referees see, but every single time there was a 50-50 decision with Grant where he was going to the rim. Now, I'm not expecting him to get every decision like Trae Young, like I mentioned, but could he get one or two? Like, that would be nice. Because he's just getting poleaxed going to the rim, and the ref doesn't even look that way. He's just like, Hawks ball, continue on. That's pretty much all I saw. So Grant looks fantastic, and that's great to see. And then, of course, Josh Jackson. He was a fourth pick for a reason. All I'm saying is the Celtics, you got Tatum. Well, he's chucking up bricks against the Indiana Pacers, and meanwhile, Jackson is flushing down threes against the Atlanta Hawks. Look, some people said it was a clear-cut choice, Tatum over Jackson, but all I'm saying is there's still room for Jackson to be the better player. Okay, I'm kidding, but still. And we appreciate how good Josh Jackson has been. I know us Pistons fans that have been watching him from the start of preseason have thought he's shown nothing but promise. He's shown defensive energy, getting back, chase down blocks, doing that kind of stuff on the defensive ends, getting into the passing lanes. He shows energy on the defensive end of the floor, and that's what he made a name for himself coming out of college, if I'm not mistaken. And then offensively, he's a shooter now. Like, he knocks down his three-point shots and he looks good doing it. And then he's obviously got the athleticism and the skill to attack the rim. He's really refined his shot selection. I think he used to be someone who would take some ill-advised shots. Now he really plays within his limits, but he does it really well. Like, he'll attack the rim one possession, and then the next possession, he might not even touch the ball. He'll just play within the flow of the offense. It's like he took a couple of pull-up threes, but mainly his game is just predicated around attacking the rim, cutting to the rim, and hitting threes, whether that's off the dribble or open. So that's a really good game to have, and as time goes on, as he gets more comfortable, I think his playmaking might start to develop, and that's the next step, because eventually teams are going to start walling up when he gets to the rim, and then he's going to need to start kicking it out. And then once he does that, look, the sky's the limit. He can really turn into a very solid player. There was a reason he was selected 4th overall, and it's not like he hasn't shown the ability on other teams and at other times. It's just never all clicked at once. But it looks like, fingers crossed, it might actually be clicking for Jackson now, which is huge for the Pistons. So from that front, Jerami Grant and Josh Jackson, those two guys, athletic wings who can guard multiple positions, have defensive energy, defensive intensity, then like to get out and run in transition, get to the rim, hit three-pointers. They can do pretty much everything. Their playmaking needs to come along. They're incredibly valuable commodities. That's what the NBA is moving towards, those kind of wings. That's huge for the Pistons to get them both up in free agency, so that's a huge thing to take out of the game. If you take anything out of the game, the form of Josh Jackson and Jerami Grant it's fantastic. Killian Hayes probably had his best game as a Piston. I thought he did well the game before against the Cavs, but it didn't really show up. I think he only ended up with like 4 points and 3 assists, but now all of a sudden he got the game time because D-Rose sat. And it all seemed to piece together in the last quarter where his passes started to turn into buckets and he started to get a couple of open threes himself, which is what he has to limit himself to. He takes a lot of contested and tough threes. I think if he just limited himself to taking stable threes and then maybe the odd step back three, but get himself into rhythm before he starts jacking up contested step back threes from the get-go, because it's just not an efficient way of scoring, and that's something that he needs to learn. But his passing game is already incredibly strong. Once he got that pick and roll running with Mason Plumlee, he got a couple of lobs up to his big guys, and I expect more of that because he's a great lob passer. He's also kicking it out to open shooters, which he's done pretty much since the first game of preseason. Like, he's been fantastic at doing that. And I think he could have easily had 8 to 10 assists against the Cavs, like I said, but it just didn't all fall into place. But now he got 10 points, 8 assists, 1 turnover. That's an incredibly good game for a rookie point guard, and he did a pretty good job of guarding Trae Young. I think he ended up with 29 points, 15 of those were free throws, and he got like 6 points right at the end when they were just fouling him to keep the game going. So he did a pretty good job of guarding Trae Young. That's probably the least amount of points he's been kept to, and that's about as low as Trae Young's going to be kept to most of the year. So for a rookie, he's shown defensive ability, and his offense is really coming along. So Hayes looks the real deal. He looks really good. When you've got the potential of a lineup looking like Saddiq Bey, Josh Jackson, and Jerami Grant, that's just something that NBA nerds, NBA fans are really going to like the idea of. Their switchable wings who can hit three-pointers, get to the rim. They pride themselves on their defensive ability and just their toughness, and those are the kind of guys that win you championships. You need to surround them with all-star, superstar level players, and hopefully we can either get that in next year's draft or find that in someone like Killian Hayes, Sekou Doumbouya, who knows, but those are the glue guys, potentially with room to get better. But at the very least, those are the glue guys that help you win, and the Pistons have already got 3 of them, it seems. Another glue guy, Isaiah Stewart, looked fantastic. I'm just really happy with his Pistons performance overall. Like, you won't often see people really happy with a loss, but it was a win for so many reasons. Not only did the Pistons stay in touch with a very good team in the Hawks pretty much the whole time, but I think more importantly to note than anything is when the Hawks went on a run, they got out to like a 20-point lead. It would have been easy for guys like Hayes to drop their head and just start to kind of jack up bad shots, not really play with any intensity on the defensive end of the floor and just kind of be like, this game's over, 20 points into the fourth quarter. What's the point of really trying? They continued to go at it and they got it back to 5 points, and it was towards the end, it was a bit nervy. They brought back Trae Young, all of those guys, and the Hawks didn't have the game in the bag until like the last 30 seconds. And that's a testament to the character that the Pistons are building, because that's something that Troy Weaver mentioned when talking about the players that he wanted to sign. It wasn't just about their upside and their athleticism. It was also about their character. Guys like Isaiah Stewart, you've seen his character. He just goes to work. He's rebounding. He's always sprinting down the floor. He already got like 5 offensive rebounds, 9 rebounds in the space of less than 20 minutes, I believe, as he begins to refine his offensive game as well, which he does have an offensive game. Don't mistake him for an exclusive rebounder just because that's all he's doing currently at the NBA level. Look at his college highlights. He's got a little jump hook. Like, he's got a game that could translate to the NBA level as soon as he gets more confidence and begins to adapt to the NBA level. But at the same time, if he can just rebound, that's the kind of energy he's showing, and that's the energy from all of these new Pistons players. Jerami Grant, Josh Jackson, you know they're going to put in effort. Mason Plumlee deserves a special shout out because he's been fantastic the last couple of games. He's been really good. He got a lot of hate, and I didn't really mind the signing because he was a good backup center, and like, you can always move the contract, but he's been like really good. He's been a playmaker. He's been solid defensively. He's still got his limitations, but he's solid defensively. You just really can't discredit anything he's done. Another high character guy who's brought a lot to the table. He's finding open cutters like Grant and Jackson. You've got to give some of their success to the ability from Plumlee to find those open cutters. He's looking to get other people involved rather than get his own shot, and that's huge for a veteran guy because we know that he can put up, 10 points a game if he needs to, but at the same time, it's more valuable if he gives you 6 to 7 assists, which is what he's doing routinely at the moment, and that's huge. He's learnt from the Joker, and all of a sudden, he's turning into Jokic light, and to have that on your team at only $8 million a year, it seems like a bargain at this point. Plumlee's been fantastic, so that's another signing that's really looking good. Overall, all of these signings, you can't really fault them. I don't know why Wayne Ellington continues to be Dwayne Casey's love child. I just wish that wouldn't be the case. I know Svi Mykhailiuk is struggling, but I would rather see Svi jack up bricks than watch Wayne Ellington jack up bricks. That would be my preferred option. What's Ellington going to be in 3 years? Probably out of the league. So overall, if you're a Detroit fan and you wanted a rebuild, this is what I was saying. I don't care if they go 36-36 or 0-72. There's different benefits for each of those things. One of them, you get more wins, you get a winning culture, and you try to make the playoffs. All of that stuff helps. That counts for something, but at the same time, you go 0-72 and you get Cade Cunningham. That also counts for something because you've got a potentially generational talent on your roster. So there's benefits for either one, but if you can get your young players playing 30 minutes a game, they're going up against good competition and absolutely by no means getting embarrassed. They're doing a fantastic job, and then they're losing. It's a little added bonus because it just means you're one step closer to that top 1 overall pick, which Pistons fans, don't get excited because the Detroit Pistons have never once moved up in the lottery. Yeah, Detroit Pistons have never once moved up in the lottery, so don't get too excited about the potential prospect of getting the number 1 overall pick. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to go to a big market team like a Chicago, a New York. All of these teams that cry about their draft lottery luck. Yeah, well, the Pistons have never once moved up. Those teams have. So you know how that's going to go. And this was the game we wanted to see. Casey's excuse for not playing the young guys was they're not ready. They can't win. Well, obviously they didn't win, but if that's anything to go by, what they did this game against a very solid team, an Atlanta team that are now 3-0, then it suggests to me that there's no reason they shouldn't be playing towards the end of the games. There's no reason Killian Hayes shouldn't be in the game in crunch time instead of Derrick Rose. I appreciate everything Derrick Rose has done, but at this point in time, he's just not a difference maker. I've argued with people about it. He's a good bench player and an average point guard, which is not a bad thing. People need to understand that's a good thing, but at the same time, he's not a difference maker. He's not carrying this team to the playoffs like some people are trying to tell me. Derrick Rose guarantees playoff success. Maybe 10 years ago. This is not trying to disrespect Derrick Rose. Like I said, I appreciate everything he's done, but he's just not that kind of guy anymore. He knows that. Everyone knows that. At the same time, he still helps, and he's going to be a good mentor for Killian, but there's no reason he should be in the game at the end of games because we've seen Killian is more than capable of being a solid crunch time performer. Look, I basically just wanted to get on the mic and say that I'm really happy with how the Pistons game was. I know it looks like a loss. It looks like a loss. It is a loss. It's now 0-3. But if they continue to play like this, I think every Pistons fan would say that was probably one of the best games they've watched in years, which is kind of sad, but at the same time, it's the start of something new, and that is also exciting. You've now got the potential prospect of a top lottery pick coming in next year, and you get to watch guys like Jackson, Grant, Hayes, Doumbouya, Bay, all of these guys develop and turn into potential stars. Hopefully, fingers crossed, one of those guys can turn into a potential star, and to put him alongside a top lottery pick from a stacked draft this year, then that's all I can ask for. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I'll catch you next time. Bye.